Hey everybody, welcome back to Real Life Reboot. I'm Lance and this is Steffi, and we are coming to you a little bit later because we just got done with the Chiefs Patriots debacle and all the bad reffing and things that went on with that. But we're recovering already, and we're back to what we came to do, which is to talk to you about rebooting your life. This is a journey we started a while back, and we're hoping that you're going to come along with us, just trying to get our stuff together, and hopefully you will join us on this journey and enjoy the things we're coming to you every week with bite-sized pieces of things that we can give to you that we hope we're going to help you reboot and reset and just make you super successful. So today we're gonna talk about schedules, and that's what we said we were going to talk about last week, and we are going to do that. And I'm going to start with this thing called Parkinson's Law. Have you ever heard of Parkinson's Law? If you've heard of Parkinson's Law, then give us a little shout out down in the commentary. But if you haven't heard of it, Parkinson's Law says that work will fill up the time allowed for its completion. So it will expand and fill the time for its completion. So you want to give an example of what that's
like? So for example, let's say that you absolutely have everything done in your house in a fantasy world. Your kids are doing good, your home is clean, your car is clean, you're caught up at work, and you have an entire Saturday to yourself, and you want to catch up on laundry, but maybe you don't have that many loads, but somehow you spend the whole entire Saturday doing laundry, the whole entire Saturday, and at the end of the day you're like, oh man, how did I spend an entire Saturday doing laundry? Like, how is that possible? That shouldn't have taken that long. But if you look back and see when you took the towels and put them away, then maybe you refolded the towels that your kids folded because you didn't think they did a good enough job, or you saw some, little cobwebs in there, so you took everything out and you wiped it all down, and then you went down to get the load out of the dryer, and it's, not all the way dry yet, so you think you're going to jump on Facebook for just a quick minute, which turns into a couple hours, and by the time you get back down to the dryer, they're wrinkled again, you have to refluff them. I don't know about y'all, but we refluff our clothes way too much here. But that is like the Parkinson's Law. You basically have taken the time that you had and stretched everything that you had to do out into a ridiculous amount of time. And by contrast, let's say your mother-in-law or your brand new friend that maybe you just met and she doesn't know the real you yet calls and says, oh my gosh, I just found these really cool shoes. They're like $5. I'm going to get them for you, and I'm going to pick up some coffee, and I'm going to come over for a few minutes. And you have like 22 and a half minutes, and the house is a wreck. Somehow, you get the whole entire house clean, spotless, and it even smells pretty in about 22 and a half minutes. So that's what the Parkinson's Law is when you just take the time allotted, and it gets stretched out or it gets stretched in. And so that is why it's really important to have a calendar, because if you don't, you're just dilly-daddling all day long if you have a long day, or you're trying to cram everything into a short time. So does that make sense?
Or we're going to use calendar and schedules interchangeably.
Yeah, calendar and schedule, same thing.
Yeah. We're going to, the reason why these calendars are so important is because if we don't put our stuff, like the things that we have, into something that's manageable, it's going to be chaotic. It's going to fill up, like she was talking about, filling up the time. And you
get to school. You get to school on time.
Right.
You get to church. You get your taxes paid. You get to your dance classes that you paid millions of dollars for. That is why you get there, because they're on the schedule. Right. I mean, this isn't brain science. You guys are rocket science. You guys know the answer to that. So that's why it's really important to put stuff on the schedule, because if you don't, it never happens. Never happens. Just like the Real Life Reboot homework, I know a lot of you guys are not doing your homework. I know, because nobody's posting them, even though we dangled a carrot in front of your nose of this really nice spa that we've already purchased, which I'm apparently going to get to go to because y'all aren't doing your homework. But really, though, I mean, you guys have been great. We really appreciate you tuning in. We've had so many conversations offline, and I know there are so many people that are interested, and that's fantastic. I mean, we were interested in changing our life for about 14 years, but nothing ever happened because we were not committed. I don't know if you saw the quote that I shared earlier last week was, there's a big, huge difference between interested and committed. What was the quote? Do you remember? I don't remember the exact quote, but I love that phraseology, because if you're interested in something, you might give it a second. You might log on like, you do here and watch something. You might check out a book from the library, but you might never finish it. You might not apply it. But if you're committed, it's a whole different ballgame. So, for example, I think you guys are probably committed to your kids. If you're parents, you make sure your kids get fed. You make sure they get to bed. If they're sick, you make sure you take care of them. If their heart is hurt or if their body's hurt, you make sure that you love on them and do what you need to do. But your teachers, your kids' teachers, if you're blessed to have a great teacher that's, really interested in your kid, they're going to love on your kid. They're going to shoot you over an email if something doesn't seem quite right. They're like, oh, little Johnny's not acting quite right today. Just want to let you know there's something going on at home. But at 3 o'clock when they leave and they go home, they're not committed to your child. They're interested in your child, but they're not committed. So you kind of see the difference there. So we would love you all to get committed to this and change your life with
Yeah,
us.
it's going to change your life if you commit. Just get rid of the interest, take the commitment, and take it seriously. So, along with what we said about doing the homework, let's just recap what we were supposed to do for last week. Last week, you were supposed to list out everything that you had to do, everything that you wanted to do, everything that you needed to do, everything that happened.
You should do.
Yeah, everything you should do during the day. You're supposed to list all of that out, and that includes everything like your job and all the chores that have to happen, and also that includes the things that you want to get done, like things that you've been maybe putting off and thinking about doing, and it also does the things that you do that maybe aren't as productive as they should be, like if you're sitting around playing Fortnite for 4 hours.
That needs to be on the list.
That needs to be on the list, because you can't make a schedule and realize a livable schedule until you have all that stuff down.
Yeah, and your goals and dreams. Your goals and dreams. Then we're going to talk a little bit about that too, because you might be like, oh, how do you put a goal and dream on a schedule? Because that's not something that you can accomplish, on a Monday at 5. So let's say you want to adopt a kid, or let's say you want to give back somehow. You're not going to go adopt a kid at 5 o'clock on Monday. Like, you can't schedule that in. But you're going to schedule time to work on your goals and dreams every single week or every single month so that you can eventually get there. Because if you don't schedule in, you're never going to adopt a kid. It's not going to happen. Okay, so this is why you need to write everything down. Not only your goals and dreams, everything you're doing and everything you're doing that you are not admitting to doing. Like if you're up to date on 7 different shows every single week, that is a lot of hours. We figure that's about 364 hours a year, which is approximately 2 weeks of your life. So write all of that down. So you were supposed to have done that last week, but we're betting that you didn't get everything down, because we're betting that you didn't write all the time wasters down that we're just talking about.
And you might not even be aware of it.
Yeah, and you might not be aware of it. And also we're betting that you probably didn't write down your goals and dreams, because you don't think about scheduling those in. So go back, take your list that you're working on, add everything down, because we want you to see everything that you want to get done and everything that you're actually getting done, and maybe everything that you are not supposed to be getting done. Because if you can see all of that in front of you, my gosh, you're going to be like, oh, that's why I'm not getting that done. It's really important to see that. Is that it on that?
Yeah, because we're going to talk about what they're supposed to do with it after you get all your stuff written down.
Okay.
So
here's what you're going to do. First of all, you're going to get your list, and you don't need to do this right now unless you want to, because remember, you're going to add to that list. You're going to get your list, and you're going to assign one of these letters. You're going to assign an NN by everything that's non-negotiable. So playing Fortnite is probably not non-negotiable. Eating supper with your family is kind of non-negotiable. So go through and do that. But then also every single...
I was just going to say, everybody's going to be different.
Yes, exactly.
And...
I mean, that may be non-negotiable for some people. So you
Right.
may have to be like, I'm willing to give up this to play Fortnite, and that's fine too. Then you're going to give a D, a W, a BW, or an M to every single thing on your list. And we're going to post this in the
Hold
group.
on. Let's rephrase that. Anything that needs to be done on a daily basis.
No, I'm getting ready to explain that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to explain
You said
that.
for each thing. I was
Each
trying to
thing.
be clarity.
Each thing is going to have one of these letters.
Okay.
Okay? So your D is daily, your week is weekly, your BW is bi-weekly, and your M is monthly. So everything has to fall into one of those categories, even if it's a big dream. It has to fall in that category. Even if you're going to build a house, you need to work on that house once a month. Even if you don't have a builder, you have to start doing a little bit of something. So go through and put one of those letters on every single thing. So here is like our original. I know these are going to be backwards, but you can see our list of everything that we do. And if you look here by the side, you can see everything has a list, has one of those letters, okay? And then you're going to assign colors to some of the things. Like, for example, we don't do all of this stuff with colors because then it just gets chaotic. So all of Grayson's responsibilities is a color. All of Piper's responsibilities is a color. All of mine is a color. All of Lance is a color. And all of our family that we do together is a color. So that has relevance. So, for example, I'm going to show you our calendar here, which I'll also post this on the group. But family is blue, and so everything that's blue is something that we do together. Okay, and so Grayson is green. Everything is green. It's Grayson. This is really great because this is our master one. This is that what hangs in the kitchen. Grayson could go down and she can see what her responsibilities are for the day. Super, super simple. We also have digital calendars, obviously, for work and our more important schedules. This is just our daily chores and our family things that we do together, like meals and things like that.
Yeah.
Interject.
If we weren't clear, and because this concept is kind of, it's kind of fluid, and like I said, everybody's different. We broke ours down into obviously 7 different days, and we have times for everything, and we try to be consistent with some of the things that we consider like absolute non-negotiables. So eating dinner as a family is a non-negotiable, and so we try to get it to where we can do that every day at a certain time. So once you've written down everything that you can't,
I think that we start with
adjust.
This is what you're supposed to start with here. Start with, yeah.
You're going to start with your regular schedule, the stuff that can't be time adjusted, that there's no wiggle room. Like you start work at 7 o'clock, well, you can't move that around. If football practice is at 3:15, you can't move that around. So you start scheduling, you start putting down the stuff that is absolutely have to, and then you can see the spots that are open.
Yeah.
From there.
It's really, really, really easy, you guys. So yeah, everything that cannot be changed, you have no control over. That's, like you said, sports practice, work schedule, all that. Block that in first. So you can go and you can buy a calendar, but we just like poster board for what hangs in our house. It's super simple. Buy several poster boards because I think we've gone through like 6 until we got exactly how we liked it. So plug in those things that you cannot change the time first because they're not flexible whatsoever. Everything else is flexible. And then see where your openings are. So like he's saying, what's important to us is eating dinner as a family. Because there was a time, you guys, for real, when, we would go months without eating dinner as a family. I'm not even kidding. Like, sometimes we go to bed and say, did the kids even eat? It was really, really bad. We were running through McDonald's, running through Casey's. It was terrible. So we understand if you're right there, we were there. So that is super important to us. And so I looked at the schedule and I found consistency is super important too. So I found, like he said, a hole where I think every night but Wednesday and Saturday we had an opening at 6. And so, okay, we're going to eat dinner as a family at 6 o'clock because it's very consistent for the kids. They know dinner is on the table at 6 o'clock. And that helps so much if you can find something that you do on a daily, because dinner is a daily. You're going to put a D by that. Then try to find a hole where that goes all the way across. Does that make sense? Am I making this too simple or too hard? I don't know. Let me know. But you have to be creative too. Like you can't say, oh my gosh, here's 5 or 6 nights where we can have dinner at 6. Wednesday we can't do that. What are we going to do? Freak, we're going to have to change it. No, you don't have to change it. Figure it out. So I'm going to let you know what we did on Wednesday because it's kind of a crazy day for us. So then you'll understand it's okay to have a crazy day. So he has 1 night a week that he works. We figured out in our life, instead of both of us working until 6 or 7 or 8 o'clock sometimes, and it just keeps going, we would each have 1 work night. And then that works really good. So he works on Wednesday night. He comes home. He drops Piper off from school. He picks up lunch or dinner for 2 people in a little lunch box, and he goes back to work. Okay? Piper has church on Wednesday. Grayson has Bible study on Wednesday, 2 separate places. So Grayson drops Piper off. I know this is not relevant, but just hang with me because you're going to see how crazy this is and how you can be creative. So Grayson drops Piper off at church, and then they're until 7:15. Lance works until 7, he goes and picks Piper up, and then he has dinner in the car, and they literally will eat sandwiches on the way home. Because if they don't, what's going to happen? They're either going to run through McDonald's and spend the money that we haven't budgeted, or eat the bad food that we don't want to eat, or they're going to come home. By the time they get in the door, try to find something to eat, then they're off their bed schedules. So by being a little bit creative like that, not only are you able to save money, you're able to stay on your healthy eating plan, and you're also able to stay on your sleep time.
Yeah,
So
that's really important.
Yeah, I mean, who likes to eat a sandwich in the car on the way home? Nobody does, but it's only one night a week. So, you got to give and take there to make it.
Can I interject something
Yes,
there?
please do.
At this point in time, if you're thinking to yourself, oh, I can never be that disciplined, or this is freaking me out, thinking like, oh, it's got to be that tight. We were the least disciplined people probably on
In the
planet.
world.
And everything was fly by night. And what this has done is this has caused us to be more intentional, and it's actually created more time to have like that spontaneity that we always thought, oh, we'll just play it by ear and be spontaneous. But that was just actually just being disorganized and chaotic. Instead, this has allowed us to plan spontaneity because we have time allotted to go do things that we want to do. And so if you get it really, really, if you really grasp it and really hang on to it and work through it and get it, you'll find that there's so much more time available to you. And it doesn't make you some stick in the mud who's just following schedule, blank, blank, blank. It makes it where you have the freedom to control your own time.
Yeah, you will have more time and more joy and more peace if you are strict with yourself. It's kind of like that phrase, I think Dave Ramsey always says, live your life now like no one does so that you can live your life later like no one does. Referring to finances, but that actual concept will really carry on to everything in life with your spending time in your marriage, your schedule, your money, everything. And also we have blocks of time. If you guys if you don't know about block scheduling, that's really, really, really helpful too. So for example, let me see if I can find something super simple to explain. Okay, so on Sunday, I know you can't really see this. Can you see this?
Pretend you can see it.
Pretend like you can see it. Right here is 11:45, okay? And then you see the next time is 3. So on Sunday when we get back from church, we have options. We can either have family nap day, which is, and I encourage you, I'm going to interject something real quick here just because it's fun. When our kids were little, every single Sunday we had family nap day. We called it FND, and all 4 of us got in the same bed and we snuggled and we slept all afternoon. And it was such a fun tradition. For years and years and years we did that until they got too big that they didn't want to snuggle in bed with us anymore. But they talk about that a lot. A lot of times they'll be in church and maybe we're tired and they'll go, FND, FND. And so creating traditions with your family, which you can do if you have the freedom of a schedule, that will help you do that. So we have options between family nap day, a Sunday fun day where we might just go do something. We might get in the car and go somewhere. And then we have time built in for personal time so everybody can get their showers in, get their schoolwork ready, get their outfits ready for the week and stuff like that. But we don't have anything else scheduled until 3. So we have a block of almost 3.5 hours that we can do whatever we want. So even though we have scheduling, we also have a lot of free time. If you create those blocks, then you have time to play around. So like, hey, let's say you want to go on a little road trip to a little town 30 minutes away. You got plenty of time to figure that out. Doesn't mess up your schedule at all. We also have another block time on Saturday mornings where we actually get up at 8 o'clock on a Saturday morning, which is actually late for us because we are early risers now, which we're going to talk about that later. That will also change your life. But we have from 8 until 11:30 is when we do chores, when we do coffee together, devotions, and all this stuff. And it's real slow, and we just do whatever we want. We get it done. Everybody has their own chores. But that is a lot of time. That is, what is that? 3.5 hours. And so that is time when you can kind of just move things around if you need to. And then we have a family gym day. And then after that, the kids don't have anything to do until 7 o'clock at night. So there's a block of 6 hours. But again, if you can see that 6 hours, like we talked about at the beginning of this, the Parkinson's law where things expand, or what's the opposite of expand? I have
Contract. You have
Contract.
Parkinson's.
I have a terrible time remembering words. If you have that, you can figure out how to put things in there without wasting a whole day or not taking advantage of your day, rather. So I'm going to take a photo of this and put this in the group. If you have not joined the group yet, hop on. It's on the left-hand side. And ask to join that group. We're going to take a picture of that, and then we're going to make this a little bit more clear. So I know there's a few of you that hopped on later. You can watch the rebroadcast here in just a little while to go back on. But to summarize,
write down everything that you have to do, want to do, dream about doing, and that you are doing and maybe would rather not do or shouldn't do.
Need to maybe cut it down a little bit.
Yeah, limit it.
Yeah. And then, which I know we gave that homework last week, but add to that because I bet you've missed some stuff, like I said. Then you're going to give everything a daily, a weekly, a bi-weekly, which is every 2 weeks, or a monthly. Everything's going to have a little letter by it on your list, okay? And then you're going to go through and you're going to put an in by everything that's non-negotiable. And then what you're going to do is you're going to put on your calendar in your open space, you're going to put everything you have no control over first, which is going to be your work schedule, church schedule, soccer, things like that that you cannot be flexible with. Then you're going to add in your non-negotiables second, and then you're going to start placing everything else in third. And it's going to be a little overwhelming, I'm not going to lie. I mean, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, it's just a calendar. Why is this so hard? You're going to have to get creative. You're going to have to figure out things. And like we said earlier, if you can find a spot where you can be somewhat consistent, like I have Piper's shower time at a certain time every single night across the board, and it works every single time but one night. That helps her not forget to do it because she knows that's her time. Same thing with our dinner. You guys can do this.
Yeah,
you guys are smart. It's not that hard. If we can do it, you can do it.
And it's super empowering.
It is very empowering.
Like just getting control of your schedule of your life, it gives you so much, confidence, and it just feels good. So
don't forget to add in your goals and your dreams. I do want to give you a couple more examples of that before we go. So for example, like a lot of people say, I want to give back. I want my kids to see how it is to give back. Maybe I want to volunteer at a soup kitchen, or maybe I want to go visit older people in a nursing home or things like that. Build in a giving back time once a month. Find a free time. Like we have very first Saturday, we have coffee date with our family. We built that in because we wanted an extra time with our family. And that is actually when we're going to build in our giving back time. We're going to go to coffee. And then we have a bucket that we made, and we came up with every activity we can come up with. I should have brought that down here. But going to the nursing home, going over, offering your help at like a Salvation Army or thrift shop. They can always use extra hands. Asking your church if they have anything to do. Ask your neighbor if you have an elderly neighbor. Just write a bunch of fun stuff in, put it in a bucket, and let the kids draw out of it. That makes it really, really fun. So another idea is if you're wanting to build a second income or a second business or things like that, if you want to just any goals and dreams, build that in once a month. Find a spot for it. Even if you only work on it for 30 minutes or an hour, it doesn't matter. At least you're doing it. Because if you don't put it on the schedule, it's never going to happen. No. Never, ever, ever going to happen. So if you guys have any questions, again, ask the questions in the group if you don't mind so that everyone else can see them. If not, send us a private message and we'll post this calendar. Actually, I'm going to go upstairs and post this calendar in the group right now. Because if you guys are like us and we have the day off tomorrow, then maybe that will be a good time for you guys to work on your calendar. Any last thoughts?
No, I don't know. Just
feel like that was a little chaotic, but we're still mourning the Chiefs, and we kind of just drove in here like crazy to do this. So we love you guys. We're so happy that you are joining us, and have a great rest of the week.
See ya. We need some outro music.
Yes, we do. Please don't sing.